The city hums beneath the moon. The streets shine with the breeze at night. Cellars will disappear soon, like whispers fading in the light. city hums beneath the moon. The streets shine with the breeze at night. Sailors will disappear soon, like whispers fading in the light. The tram climbs slowly to the height. The knocking wheels, the bell's soft ring. Spacious old room, yellow light. Silence of breaths in a sleep swing. Fado music climbs the stairs. Lisbon falls asleep. Moonlight light hides all our cares. A sigh lost in sleep. We walk together, side by side. The cobblestones a rhythm's beat. Silence insists we need to try.